Oh man. Well, there's a first time for everything, folks. A first time for everything. And your boy was still reeling after coming back from Italy. I went hard, very hard on the streets and for Team USA for 2 weeks in Italy. It's going to take me maybe a full week at this point to fully catch up and get on somewhat of a normal schedule. I'm delirious, a lot of things going on. And for the first time ever, I have passed out last night at the end of the game, right after Timo scored, actually. I was like on the way to death. Timo scored, and I'm like, oh, we're going to come back. And then the next thing I knew, I woke up. It was in the middle of the night. Oh, welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And yeah, folks, my apologies to those that waited around thinking I was going to show up for the post-game live last night. First time for everything. And in fact, and I'm surprised this hasn't happened before, given some of the late West Coast games and everything, passed out. I got that Olympic flu, maybe not even a flu, just the Olympic hangover. And just, I was fading as Timo scored. And then the next thing I knew, I woke up and it was like 1:30 a.m. And I was like, what has happened? And so apologies to everybody. Hopefully that never happens again. And again, I'm surprised it hasn't happened before. But the New Jersey Devils back in action last night, hosting the Buffalo Sabres at the Prudential Center. I'm all out of sorts right now still, guys. Bear with me 1 second. Before the game, a nice ceremony for, it was supposed to be for all the Olympians. They mentioned them all and pulled a graphic up on the screen, but then none of them were on the ice. I don't know if that was by design or not, but ceremony for the Golden Child. Jack Hughes, the golden goal scorer, bringing home a gold medal for Team USA, breaking the 46-year drought. Great little ceremony for Jack on the ice. They gave him the mic. He talked to the crowd, and in a somewhat unexpected turn of events there, since they were playing Buffalo, he went over to the Buffalo bench and dragged over his Team USA Olympic teammate Tage Thompson and brought him out to get an ovation from the crowd as well. And my God, guys, you guys know I love Tage Thompson. I loved him before this tournament. I had said, he was super high on my want list of my somewhat pipe dream acquisitions, second only to Brady Tkachuk. And I think after a tournament like this, everybody now is kind of on that same page of, wow, what would Jack look like with a guy like that on his wing? But that's, a topic for another day. But very nice touch by the Devils and nice touch by Jack Hughes to go over to the Buffalo bench and drag out that monster of a man, Tage Thompson, to be part of the ceremony. But unfortunately, the update is the Devils still suck. After Team USA hockey, the Devils still suck. We go to the game, no goals in the first period, and in the second period, the aforementioned man, fellow USA gold medalist, Tage Thompson, with a beautiful, what a great goal this was. He gets it. He kind of does like a little bit of a toe drag and then just snaps it right past Jake Allen. Just a great move by a great player. Tage Thompson's 31st of the season at 8:10 of the second period gives the Sabres the 1-0 lead. And once again, we go into the third period and we're like, wow, are the Devils going to score goals anymore? What has happened to this club? A lot of people were on the thought process of, oh, our guys looked great in the Olympics. Maybe they come back and this rejuvenates them and, somehow translates into this miraculous run, which leads them to a playoff berth. Spoiler alert, none of that has happened, and they are not making the playoffs. It is unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're a long ways from October. We go to the third period, and Krebs gets one for Buffalo, assisted by Tage, puts them up 2-0. And then late in the third, with the extra attacker, Timomeier gets his 15th from Jack and Bratter, cuts the lead to 2-1. Devils could not tie it. That is how the game would end. Devils lose by a score of 2-1. Another game in which the Devils cannot score. There was a few breakaways that were squandered, and it's just been the same movie for this team all season long. Unfortunately, struggling to score goals, struggling to find offense, and it's unfortunate. That will be the story of the season, obviously. After Chicago cut, After Chicago cut, it all kind of got derailed, and it is what it is. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the season. Hopefully some guys get some of their confidence back and play well. And hopefully, the young guys continue to develop. Hameenaho, Gritsuk. I mean, the future is bright with those guys, obviously. The future is bright with those guys. And so hopefully we just see something positive, through the end of this painful season. Game stats, shots on goal, Buffalo with 30, Devils with 28. Faceoffs pretty close. Buffalo 46.3% to the Devils 53.7%. Sabres go over 3 on the power play. Devils go over 2 on their power play. 21 hits for the Sabres, 24 for the Devils. 10 block shots for the Sabres, 13 block shots for the Devils. 18 giveaways for the Sabres, 17 giveaways for the Devils, and both Sabres and Devils with 4 takeaways each in this one. The first game back from the Olympics, probably a lot of guys trying to get back into the groove of things for this final stretch. And it's painful, guys. Our offseason really did begin quite a while ago, and unfortunately, we're a long ways from October, and I am depressed. But the Team USA win, it eases the pain a little bit. We look at the game player stats. Nico Hischier, 2 shots, a block, and a hit. Timomeier with the only goal, 6 shots, 4 hits for Timo, who had a great Olympics. Hameenaho, 3 shots, a hit block, and 2 hits. Paulie Cotter with 3 hits. Jesperbratt, 2 shots, 2 hits. Bukestad, 3 shots. Grits with a shot and a block. Jack Hughes with the assist and a shot. Dawson Mercer, 2 shots, a block. On D, we got Dilly with a block and 6 hits. Dilly's going to bring that. Dougie Hamilton, 3 shots, 3 blocks, 2 hits. Johnny Kovacevic, 2 blocks and a hit. Shimo Nemitz, another Olympian, saw top pairing minutes for Slovakia. A shot, a block, a hit. Brett Pesce, a shot and a block. And Jake Allen, 28 saves on 30 shots. Another game where he played well enough to win and did not. And it's unfortunate. This team just cannot score on breakaways. Struggling to find offense all season. And it's unfortunate. Like I said, being at the Olympics, it definitely, and with Jack scoring the golden goal, it certainly eases the pain a little bit. It doesn't alleviate it whatsoever. This is still going to sting for a while. And it will be another long summer. And in terms of meaningful hockey games for the New Jersey Devils, the summer started about a month ago, in my opinion, the off season anyway. And it's a long one till October. It really sucks. Another season down the drain. Hopefully we see some meaningful moves that translate into success for this team next season. It started off so good, an 8-game heater after losing the opening game. But here we are, a long, long way from October. We go to the comments. NJD Theory says, man, after watching the Olympics, holy shit, do the Devils look slow? Yeah, it's just a different world. The Olympics was exciting. Definitely mostly high pace, just action, and the top players, international best on best. That's what it's all about. But yeah, the Devils just, this is a cursed season. Hoping for anything positive down the stretch. Bear with me 1 second. I just got to go grab something. But I don't know. I'm very curious what happens at the deadline here. If any guys are moved out to free up space for next year, I don't think we're going to add anything big, but I could see some decent names being shipped out potentially. I don't know. Trade Luke Jackemeyer. He's alive. I was worried his heart could not take it anymore. No, my body just couldn't take it anymore. I've been recovering from getting back from Italy. I did not sleep much there. I have a lot more videos coming out as well. I just actually released a little while ago a video about Jack Hughes and kind of the whole thing with Jack. If you haven't seen that, check that out at some point. But there will be a lot of vlogs and things still coming out. But yeah, I didn't sleep a lot. I walked a ton, ate a ton of food, obviously. If you've seen the vlogs, if you're interested in that, check that out on the channel. It was a very, very, very intense 2 weeks. Probably the most intense 2 weeks of my entire life, if I'm being honest, with the amount of steps I was doing, the amount of food I was eating, the minimal sleep. It's all a lot, and it all just kind of came crashing down on me in the past couple days with the travel and stuff. It's been a lot, and my body's still not anywhere near caught up yet. John says coffee with Ace. Let's go. I need coffee badly. I don't have it yet, and I will be getting it the second I get off of this. John knew they weren't coming back. The helicopter government was too much of a jinx. Helicopter gov. Oh, on the ice before the game. NJD theory. Loved hearing from Jack. I truly believe he loves being an NJ. Well, seems that way. I mean, he says all the right things. And I do think this may have been a big maturing moment for Jack. You know, even with the interviews we've seen coming out of the Olympics, he just seems a little bit different. And I do think a lot of that has to do with he does not necessarily love the local media. I think he is a little bit warmer and whatever you want to call it to outside media. But obviously went through a gauntlet of it with the Olympics and playing such a pivotal role, obviously scoring the golden goal. He's done a million interviews. And it just seems like he's a little bit of a different guy and maybe a little more matured in a bunch of ways. Like I said before the tournament, that these are big time learning experiences. A lot of people were like, oh, NHL players shouldn't go. This guy shouldn't go. A 2-week bonding experience with some winners. And he was even talking about some of the things the Tkachuk brothers said. They were raised absolutely correctly by their father, Big Walt, about respecting, your teammates and the other people associated with the team that aren't necessarily on the team, like equipment managers and trainers and all these things. And you hear Jack regurgitate all this stuff. And so I do think even the Tkachuk brothers alone, because they are so much of what their father produced in a lot of those old school ways, that it does just rub off on guys. And I think that is the best experience for Jack and the other guys in the team to get. You're basically getting brought to the Keith Tkachuk school of how to be a pro. And I think all of that stuff with the on ice and all the other things was a great learning experience. And I think it's going to help a lot of the players on that team going forward, Jack included. John says Tage is a beast. Yeah, absolutely. He's been super high on my want list, hopes and dreams list forever. You guys know that when Buffalo was horrible in the beginning of the season, I thought there was a small chance it could have happened. I don't think so anymore. That ship has sailed along with many of the other ships, I think. But hopefully at some point this offseason, whether it's Fitz or another GM, that someone can make meaningful moves. And I think the biggest one that needs to be done is to bring in that big, bulky kind of winger to pair with Jack. What's going on, Alex? How you doing? Pyro Gob. That food looks so damn good. Yeah, if you've never been to Italy, I could not recommend it anymore. And I didn't even go to like the greatest, Milano is not the greatest part of Italy from what everyone's told me, but there's a lot to see and a lot to eat there. Also ventured out into some other areas of Italy, Venice and Lake Como. Again, vlogs are up. There's a few more in the chamber that are coming out, but food is amazing. Most of the people are pretty cool. I cannot wait to go back. My mother almost made it on this trip, but after looking at how intense the hockey schedule is going to be, it just wasn't worth it to bring her this time. So I will bring her at some point in the near future. And I hope to go to other regions and eat lots of other delicious Italian food, but could not recommend it enough. If you've been thinking about going to Italy, check it out. I honestly think you could get there if you play with your flights and you look at different places to stay. You could probably go there for cheaper than it would cost to go somewhere within the States. Like, going to California, Florida, anywhere within the United States, you could possibly go to Italy for cheaper. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. And a lot of people have asked me about the Olympic stuff. One of the videos that will be coming out is all the costs associated with that for people interested. So look for that as well. But lots more Olympic stuff coming up in the next week or so. John, can't wait for the sales pitch in September from the Devils. Oh, it's going to be the same thing, every year. It's the future is bright. We got this guy, we got that guy. You got the golden boy, Jack Hughes. But unless I see some big time moves now, I'm not going to be fooled again. I did buy the fool's gold. Last summer I was super fired up for the team. I did believe that they were going to do something for real this year and it was going to be different. And then that 8-game heater really kind of cemented that in my head. I was like, oh, it's happening. This team is legit. We're a real contender. Everyone, it's all looking good. And then, Chicago cut happened and it all went to hell. I mean, granted, there were little troubling signs maybe before that, But I do believe that was the beginning of the end of the season, and it is what it is. The team could not do anything without Jack. And I think that's an indictment on some of the players, if I'm being honest, but that's a whole nother kind of topic for another day. Delta, what's going on right now is that I passed out last night due to my Olympic fatigue. And yeah, I just passed out and missed it. First time ever. First time for everything. Apologies to everyone who waited around for however long, but I'm here now. Better late than never. And I will not pass out tonight. I'll be properly hydrated, hopped up on caffeine, because this crash is still not going to be fully recovered. Maybe even till, I don't know, probably another few days. Pyro says, can't wait to see what third liner Fitz brings in to spice things up. We're going to see. I don't have really high hopes for anything he's going to do. I think, if anything, we're going to see Sprong, what I call the Sprong-esque type moves at the deadline. I think it's going to be more of Fitz looking to shed salary or trade out guys who may not want to be here anymore. And I do think there is probably some level of that within the team. Guys that just, are at the tail ends of their careers and might want to go chase a cup, and it's not happening here. Obviously not this year. Next year's a different story, but if I'm being honest, there's probably a lot more destinations for guys to have a better chance to win a cup in the next couple of years. Crazy Alex, we need to fix our breakaway game. It's been broken all year. I have no idea what the situation is, but for whatever reason, they just have struggled on breakaways, and it's everybody. Brad or Nico, Jack. I mean, it's just been a rough year for breakaways and for offense in general, and I don't know what the solution is. I mean, everyone say, practice them and practice, and I'm sure they do, but when the game comes, it's a totally different beast, and they just cannot bury them. Delta V, I really want to blame Keefe and Fitz, and while they are far from blameless, it's so hard not to look at the guys. How many chances do they need? I really love our core, but something isn't clicking. No, I agree with you. I will forever blame Fitz a lot for a lot of things he did and did not do. Keefe probably has a little bit to do with it, but in the end, for the people looking to scapegoat Keefe as the main reason, it's insane, because you look at last night, what they missed 2 breakaways, maybe a third. I can't even remember. How is that Keefe's fault? Like, the chances are there. And so are you telling me this team is so bad that they need exponentially more chances than they've been getting to score anything? Because they're getting decent chances almost every night, and they just cannot finish. And so to blame another coach and say he's the problem, I think is just very ridiculous, in my opinion. And I think unfair to Keefe to scapegoat yet another coach and say they're the reason why this core cannot get it done. I just simply think as a group, this core cannot get it done. I think that's the unfortunate reality. That's where I'm at. I cannot say that Keefe is the major issue here. Now, could there be some other guys that would be a better fit and their systems might be more conducive to getting these guys to playing winning hockey and scoring more? Sure, that's a possibility. But to say that Keefe is the single biggest problem and to scapegoat him, I think isn't completely nuts, and I will never agree with it. Stan098 says, calling it now a 10-game heater. Oh, Stan. A 10-game heater? Come on, Stan. Let's be realistic around here. I always try to be realistic. Right now, you're living in fantasy land. Amagi Legacy, hey, man, go to bed. I did. I slept for a good amount of time. Probably the most I slept in quite some time. That was 10. Yeah, that might be the most sleep I've gotten in a couple months. The way I just crashed hard last night. NJD Theory, whoever is our GM has to move on from Bratt. Feel like you can do a blockbuster with Dallas in the offseason. Bratt, Nemitz, ++ for Hintz, Robertson, unless Billy G can't resign Quinn and you make that move in the offseason. All right, so there's a lot to get to here. Let me think. All right, let's start here. I like Bratter, love Bratter. I do think he is a little too similar of a player to Jack Hughes. We've talked about the kind of redundancy, right, where a lot of these guys are kind of the same mold, and we need to interject some new types of players, preferably a little more nastier, more physical, that can also produce. Again, to clarify for the lunatics out there, I'm not suggesting we replace these players with Curtis McDermott. No, I'm not. I'm suggesting we replace them with as close as you could get to a Brady Tkachuk, Tage Thompson type. That has always been the kind of prototypical kind of player I think that Jack Hughes would thrive the most with, and that remains for me the number one want, a guy like that. Now, either one of them would be a pipe dream, probably will never happen, but get me a Diet Coke version of one of those guys, if possible. I do think you would be dealing Bratt, after a down season and probably selling low, which kind of sucks. His contract, if he could be that point per game guy, which I think he can be still, would have tremendous trade value in the market to a lot of teams. And maybe he just needs a change of scenery too. Again, he has trade protection. And so, a lot of people are playing these fantasy type trades and, making these deals hypothetically where you would need a player's approval to do so. And I don't know where he's at with that. Maybe for the right situation, he would, consider that, but I certainly think it's something you explore if there's somebody willing to give decent value and you could kind of make up that big time shake-up trade that I think we are well overdue for. Amagi, did you see the golden puck pastries they had in the club? I did see, I think your post or someone's post. They were delicious. Sad they didn't get the Jack USA shirts in time. Yeah. Bakery specialties. Love to see the gold medal. NJD Theory, Billy G can re-sign Quinn. So you're saying if he can't, I do think he re-signs in Minnesota. If not for long-term, at least for a few years to time his free agency with Jack. I think Billy Guerin is a very good GM. I think he is a very brilliant hockey mind, and I think he will sell Quinn Hughes on the, whatever short-term, long-term outlook for the Minnesota Wild. Adam G6, the Devils have one job, build a team around Jack that can win a Stanley Cup. Completely agree. Completely agree. Go get the right pieces. It's never been done yet. This guy is a stud. He is entering his prime, I would say, or hopefully he can stay healthy. But yeah, put the right pieces around him and let's see what we could do. Pyro Gob got Ryanair over here too, so getting to Italy is pretty cheap, and I've been planning on going to Italy on a layover before heading back to Canada. The food looks so damn good. The food is phenomenal, folks. Phenomenal food. I could not recommend it more. Get there. I cannot wait to get back. I have the bug now, and a lot of my friends who had been there before, have always told me how much I would love it and blah blah blah. And before I went this time around, they were like, "You're not going to want to come back," and it's true. I did not want to leave. It was very sad for me packing up my bags and leaving. It was a great time. Great weather there, especially compared to New Jersey. A lot of days in the 50s, a couple in the 60s. We had one day with crappy rain, but for the most part, it was phenomenal weather, phenomenal food. I was walking a ton, meeting interesting people, having conversations, talking with cool people, both from, all over the world and Italians, and was on a run with what will now be considered an all-time memorable team, the 2026 USA men's hockey team that brought back gold. It couldn't have been a better trip, punctuated with running into Billy Guerin the night after they won the gold medal on the streets of Milan. Had a great conversation with Billy G. I mean, wow, what a trip. What a trip. Trade Luke, Jack, and Meyer says, Keefe has no clue what he's doing. Told you before his appointment, he's a bad choice. You're alone on this. I'm not blaming him whatsoever. He's not General Keefe. He's a private Keefe. No, man. The players got to look in the mirror, bro. Start scoring on breakaways. Start scoring on your chances. Torrenval, 1404. Ciao from Italy. Ben Tornado in the USA. You are always welcome in Italy. I appreciate that. I'm assuming you found me from one of my vlogs. And if you haven't seen the vlogs, well, I guess I'll just drop the link, right? Make it easy. I have so much great hockey footage that I got from warm-ups and all different things. But the IOC just comes after everybody, so I can't post it. Maybe I'm trying to figure out, maybe one day I'll be allowed to show it. Maybe it'd be a private screening event, perhaps. But I have some amazing footage, especially of the gold medal game after the win. But if you want to see any of the vlogs, I just put the link in the description to the playlist. What the hell's going on with this? Oh, there it is. But thank you for the kind words. I look forward to returning to Italy as soon as possible. David Chimes, good morning. How could they not step up and win with all the energy tonight? Because it's the New Jersey Devils, man. It didn't translate. A lot of people were like, oh, yeah, we had great Olympic performances for a bunch of guys and blah, blah, blah. It didn't matter. It's all fine. The season's over anyway. I mean, what are you going to do? John says not getting Quinn is Fitz's biggest failure. I completely agree. A failure for the ages. It's a generational fumble. The table was set. The inside track was had. All you had to do was probably have the cap space ready, and I think the deal would have been done. But here we are. We didn't get him. And another painful reminder during the Olympics, he had a great tournament. He led Team USA with 8 points, 1 goal, and 7 assists. Great tournament for Quinn, and you see what he could do. He's been lighting it up for Minnesota. Game breaker. But, we we couldn't get it done. Adam G says Jack's speech made me emotional because it was a reminder that even with his new status as an American icon, Jersey is still his home. Yeah, and hopefully we start doing, the proper personnel moves to make the team truly a contender. I do believe we've had a flawed roster for several years now, and the team is no further to competing or no closer to competing than they were in 22-23 when they won a playoff round. In fact, I think everyone would probably agree that we're further away from competing. I mean, that was a team that won a playoff round, and now we're damn near a lottery team. So it's been regression ever since. Precious years of guys' careers are ticking off. We have guys in the very end of their career trying to win a cup that are nowhere near winning a cup here. And it's just a whole sad kind of thing. The way it all played out is super sad, but it's time to bring in a GM that is going to make the moves to really give Jack the tools he needs to succeed. Sunrise Art Cinema 8 was the first Ace. What was that on that first sandwich you ate? Was it prosciutto, arugula, and burrata? I'm trying to recreate it. It was the first one, I think, was, and I would have added roasted peppers, but that's not a thing in Italy, apparently. I love roasted peppers, but it was still good without it. But it was a special kind of prosciutto called crudo. I don't even know if you could buy that in the States. I'm going to try to find like the most authentic butcher shop I could find and see if I could find crudo. But that was the type of prosciutto it was, and it was phenomenal. And technically, it was stracciatella, which is the inside of the burrata. You can buy stracciatella in the store, and it's like the creamy innard part. Phenomenal. I mean, it'll be good with burrata too. But it technically was crudo, arugula, and stracciatella, and it was to die for. Absolutely to die for. Pulp Mystic, for a guy who's still recovering from jet lag and not sleeping in 4 days, Jack looked better than I thought he would. Yeah, I mean, they've been on quite the gauntlet between partying, interviews, all that stuff, traveling from Italy to Florida to DC. You could tell his voice was a little shot. But he'll be back to normal in a couple days, I'm sure. Adam says, Jason Robertson and Jordan Kyrou are my top targets, not against adding more physicality, but the top 6 desperately needs a pure sniper, and both are exactly that. I would like them. I would like either one of them. Robertson, I think, is going to want a ton of money, and so that kind of concerns me a little bit. His deal is up. I think it's going to take a lot to trade for him, and then it's going to cost a lot to sign him. He would be a great addition to the team. Kyrou has a bunch of years left at a team-friendly number. That would be interesting as well. But we'll see. I think either one of these guys would command a ton in trade, and I don't know that Fitz has it in him to do it. David Chime says, team is a disgrace. 4-game losing streak, NHL 500 record, below 500 at home, 3rd worst record in entire NHL for games decided in regulation. Bad friggin' joke. Yeah, it's painful. The reality of this team is super painful, and given that we did from the second game of the season – was that 8-game heater? Without that, the numbers would be even worse. Think about that. These numbers are with an 8-game winning streak baked into them. If they even went 500 during that, or even 5-3, like it would be even uglier. But here we are, guys. I mean, this is the reality of this year. Chicago cut the entire season, kind of fell apart. And I do think to some extent, some guys were a bit exposed. Some of these guys just completely disappeared when Jack Hughes went down. When we needed them the most, they were nowhere to be found. So it's an unfortunate situation. It's going to be, another month and a half or so of watching a team that's not going to the playoffs, and it's tough. It's tough on many levels, but here we are. They did it to themselves, and back in late November, right after Thanksgiving, I had said I was personally hitting the panic button. I had seen enough that I thought something should be done pretty swiftly because this team is showing signs of being in trouble. And I thought something had to be done. And I also said, with the way this is all going and how tight the standings are, it could slip away quickly. That it could slip away quickly, and it did. With all those teams right there, fighting for playoff position, a little losing streak could put you out, and it pretty much did. And before we knew it, we were kind of on the cusp of a playoff spot, but they slid out quick. And here we are. So we're looking forward to the 26-27 season. A lot of question marks, I think, heading into that season. The only thing we could hope for is a couple big moves that really help the team in the offseason, and that guys like Hameenaho and Grits will take that next step next year and be even better. But yeah, I'm kind of sick about the rest of the season, to be honest. I'm still feeling good on the Team USA win, and that's going to carry me for a while. But this team is in trouble, and this has been a tragic season. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It's really been a terrible season. Luke Jackamire says Chimes is a doomer. I don't think that's dooming. He's citing stats and facts of this team. I mean, that's not dooming. Dooming is, you guys know what dooming is. I don't have to get into all this. You know what dooming is. Reciting statistics and whatever else, facts that just illustrate how poor the team has played this year is not dooming. That's just taking a hard look at the reality of the situation. David Chimes, Booze Face and Potato Head need to go. Is Potato Head Keefe? I know you're down on Keefe. I mean, I think he kind of got a raw deal. But if he has to go with Fitz, I would be fine with that. But I will be furious if Fitz is allowed to fire Keefe and stay. I think that would be outrageous on so many levels, and it would be another coach scapegoated for the underperformance of a group that has mostly underperformed under every coach they've had. David Chimes, even Dano, Don, and Bryce criticized Fitz by spending time talking about the Sabres GM bounce. I don't know if that's what they, I figured some people would take it that way. I did hear that a little bit when they talked about how the Sabres kind of improved after they moved on from their GM and brought in, was it Jarmo? It could have been a little, I don't think it was, but I see, however, how it got interpreted like that. But it's far too late for that now, even though I still think, it is somewhat of a disservice to the organization to have Fitz run this deadline because, that's moves that will have implications on the team going forward, for the short term and long term, depending on what he does. And a lot of people are of the mindset, like, this guy's done enough damage. He shouldn't be dealing with the deadline at all, or even worse, the draft. And I kind of agree. Like, the mess has been made. It's time to bring in someone to clean it up. But, even with missing the playoffs, I still think it's a coin flip. And there's a good chance that he may be back next year. As crazy as it sounds, I think there is a chance he's back next year. So, I don't really know what to expect other than, a minor move in terms of an addition maybe at the deadline. But I do think there could be a couple names that might surprise people of guys that will be headed elsewhere. Stano 98, whoever paid for that Etsy witch got us cursed. Well, maybe not cursed, but the Etsy witch should give a refund because obviously whatever they did not work. This is referring to an Etsy witch that was supposed to do something about the Prudential Center was built on like a cemetery or something where there were dead bodies of some kind under the arena. And a lot of people have speculated that that these corpses are haunting the team. And I have to believe there might be something to it. I mean, Prudential Center, by and large, since we moved there hasn't been many great moments there. Obviously, the somewhat unexpected run to the 2012 Cup Finals would be the highlight of the Prudential Center. Adam Henrique, it's over. Eastern Conference goal would be right at the top. And then there's a couple other good moments, like Marty 552 was a phenomenal one. But in terms of real success, the only thing was that 2012 season, really, where they went to the Cup, did not win. And since then, it's been pretty brutal. Pretty brutal times for the Devils. And it's wild to think that the arena opened up over 18 years ago. I mean, my God, we've been at Prudential Center for almost 20 years. It's crazy. But I've never loved the place, probably because of the fact that it's in Newark. It's a pain in the ass to get to, and that there's no real winning to speak of there. John says Lindy is thinking getting fired by the Devils was a good thing. Probably. He's got the Sabres contending right now, and they are. Let me update this. Wow, with the win last night, they shot out of the wild card and into third place in the Atlantic with 72 points. Yeah, Lindy is the coach of a team in a playoff position right now, and I hope they make it. I'd be thrilled for the fans of Buffalo. They have been rooting for a terrible team for so long, and the atmosphere in Buffalo is going to be bonkers for their first home playoff game in an eternity. Going to be a wild thing for them. David, I'm lockstep with you that Fitz needs to go first and let the new GM decide Keefe's fate. I think that's fair, right? I think that's totally fair. And I'm curious to see. I think it's a coin flip, truly. Pyro says, yo, Ace, how was Billy G with you? Billy G was amazing. I had a great conversation with him on the street about all kinds of stuff. He could tell how fired up I was. When I saw him, it was very surreal moment. Again, I was delirious in Italy for most of it. I barely slept, walking tons of miles, eating tons of food, going to all these games, and I'm walking down the street. This is the night after they won with my buddy, walking down a random street in Milan, and I see him like walking towards me, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Billy G. And we had a great conversation. His family, I think his family probably thought I was a little nuts, but I think they enjoyed it. I was pumping his tires a lot, but I was fired up. You guys know I'm a Billy G guy. And man, to all the people that were talking smack about his roster for Team USA, oh God, take a seat. USA gold medal. Pyro, also Ace, with our upcoming contracts, who should we keep and let go? I mean, there's not many guys to decide on in terms of that. It's like, should you trade guys or not? I think you're going to see some guys dealt out to free up cap space and roster spots just because, I think there's guys here that want to win. John, Newark has never felt like home, not like Rutherford. Oh, and it never could. Even if we won cups there, it's just unfortunate. It could never be that. And I know a lot of the people criticize us old heads and they're like, oh, you old heads talk about the old days. But like, there's such a difference for like the roots of the team and the winning and everything, the parking lot parades and the tailgating. Like, it can never be the same. We got a little taste of it. Super nostalgia overload with the Stadium Series. Hopefully the Devils are back in a Stadium Series again. Would love to see another one, really anywhere, but specifically at MetLife in the shadows of the old arena makes it even that more special, in my opinion. And I think a lot of you who went to that game kind of know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it'll never feel like home like Rutherford. It's just a different time. And, that was the origin of the team and all that. So it can never be the same. And no other place, I think, could ever encapsulate that either. But maybe down the line and some point in the, I don't know what the Devils may play in Newark forever. Who knows? But I do think another arena could feel more like home than Newark does. Adam G, while I have my criticisms of Keefe, if we're talking who's the biggest problem with this team, it's Fitzgerald, and it's not close. Completely agree. Could not agree more. For the people looking to scapegoat another coach, I think is crazy. Now, again, am I saying he's the best coach ever and the best coach for this team? No, I'm not saying that. But I do think he's a solid coach, a damn good coach. He's had success everywhere he's went. He's never missed the playoffs. The 25-26 New Jersey Devils will be the first blemish on his record of missing the playoffs. at any level he's ever coached. And I don't think that's his fault. I think that is an indictment on the construction of this roster from Tom Fitzgerald, and a lot on the players themselves for just not getting it done, period. I mean, that's it. A lot of Keith's even said, like, we don't play, the players play the games, got to make a play, got to finish chances. And I think it's just kind of cheap and the easy way out to blame Keith and point the finger at him as the reason why this team sucks. Because I don't think that's the case. John T, difference between winning and losing is tiny. They do not get nearly enough dirty goals, too much finesse. How many times do folks need to see it to understand that? Rebound goals? Never. True. Want to see guys go for those tips, deflections, crash the net, get the rebounds, maybe run a goalie over, hopefully not get called for interference, and just make the lives of goaltenders and opposing defensemen hell. We don't see it nearly enough with those types of goals. I completely agree. And that's, you need to bring in some guys that bring that element. John T, this team will never win, is currently constructed no matter who coaches. Jack, Bratt, Heischer, and Mercer are all finesse perimeter players. That will never get it done. Cut off here. But no, I agree. Again, redundancy of the same type of players. You need to mix it up. You need to bring in some dogs, guys that are going to drive the net, guys that are going to look for those tips and deflections, look for rebounds, and just do anything they can to get that puck over the line. To your point, yeah, perimeter players are good, but you can't live and die with them. And this season, we died with them. Got to mix it up. The identity of this team, I do think, has been skilled finesse for far too long, perimeter. You got to start moving that identity away from that. Obviously, those guys have their usage. I'm not saying that those players are not valuable, but you need more than that to win in this league. Tons of teams over the course of the history of the sport has shown that. And the Devils need to get some of that personnel because they don't have it right now at all. David chimes, Elliot Friedman did a long interview with Billy G 1 or 2 years ago that is awesome beyond belief. Old 32 Thoughts episode, well worth listening to, breaks down what it's like to be a GM. I'll certainly try to find that. Thank you for the recommendation. I've seen a bunch of his interviews before. Billy G is a character. A true character, a true winner. What a guy. Love Billy G. Yeah, and it was great to run into him on the street and talk to him for a little bit. It really was. Metalander, Billy G is an unsung hero for assembling a goalie out roster to compete with Canadian stars. The bend don't break defense waits for offensive opportunities. He learned this with the 95 Stanley Cup Devils. Yeah, build a team from the net out. And he had 3 solid options on paper going into it. Hellebuck, Ottinger, Swayman. Swayman played that one game, did not play great. USA was still able to win. And I think after that, USA was like, all right, we're not playing around. It's Hellebuck every single game, which I thought it should have been from the beginning anyway. I don't like this, the way they handle goalies with swapping guys in and alternating starts. Like, I'm not a fan of that at all. Obviously, I want to ride the hot hand or whoever your horse is and just ride them the whole way. And Hellebuck was the difference. I mean, what a game for Connor Hellebuck in that gold medal game. With that Hellebuck, they lose easily in regulation. What an outing. Pyro, I need to visit the old arena when I'm in NJ next. I love the time I spent at the arena, but Newark is rough. The old arena still has some of the old feel, when you see some of the stuff outside. When I go back there, very nostalgic, but it's definitely worth checking out. David Chimes says 100% Metalander, also got the team into the playoffs consistently back when they had tons of dead cap. Now that the dead cap is gone, he's able to be ballsy because he has a good reputation. Billy G looking to try to win a cup with Minnesota Wild. Went out and got the prize, stole Quinn Hughes from the New Jersey Devils, and Quinn has looked like an absolute monster for the Wild. John, bringing dogs who can impact. Jack is the best to go to bring real change. Gold medal or not. Jack's not getting dealt, dog. Jack Hughes was never getting traded before that. There's zero chance it happens now. You're crazy. He literally is the biggest name in hockey right now. The owners were not going to consider trading him before this. I've said this millions of times. Talking about it is a waste of breath, and even more of a waste of breath now. The amount of attention and marketing power that Jack Hughes has for the New Jersey Devils. Pyro, Ace, out of the teams who are likely to get into the playoffs, who do you want most to win the Stanley Cup this year? I'd be happy for a Wild win. I always go back to the ties to other team, former Devils. Let me just see something here. The Wild are on my list for sure. The Oilers, because I like McDavid and obviously Adam Henrique. I wouldn't mind seeing the Islanders win. I think that could maybe revive a new rivalry with them, perhaps. I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for the Isles. Billy G in the Wild. I like Quinn. I like Boldy a lot. And yeah, probably one of those teams. And if the Sharks somehow made it in, I would like to see them win too. Toffoli, Celebrini. How can you not like watching Celebrini? TJK says 7 a.m. live stream. Interesting. Yeah. Unfortunately, due to my Italy trip, I crashed hard and passed out during the game last night and was unable to make it to the live stream. So I was like, let me just do it in the morning. But I'll be fully caffeinated for tonight. Back in action against the Pens. How I got her, Jeremy Proper, so much for the Olympic high. Same dud of a result. I wasn't expecting much, honestly. We just can't score goals. TJK, I just arrived to my campus for a class. Nice. Jeremy Proper, did a pact happen at the Olympics? Luke, Sutter, and Parisi. Luke. Oh, you're talking about maybe that's supposed to be like. Okay. Who knows, right? There's a lot of potential things that could happen when guys play for these Olympic or international tournament teams and they're with these guys for a few weeks. I don't think there'll be a pact, but a lot of people think that this whole experience helps the Devils in terms of potentially getting Quinn Hughes one day. I honestly don't think it has any bearing whatsoever, and I maintain that I still believe that Quinn is going to sign with the Wild for some period of time. And if he doesn't, I still don't think he's coming to the Devils. Would love to be wrong about it, but I just don't see it. Jeremy Proper, Avs Tampa, my final prediction. That'd be an interesting final. Dallas Carolina is my final prediction. That'd be another interesting one for sure. The Meadowlander, the high-flying Euros should be brought in to complement a solid foundation of dogs. Our foundation is built on players from non-contact development programs. Yeah, I mean, you like to see the fancy finesse, but you need those dogs, and we don't have them. Timo has the ability to be one, I think, but he can't be the only one. We need a couple more guys like that will kind of be contagious and rub off on each other. But a lot of people are down on Timo. I'm not. You guys know I'm a Timo guy, but we need a couple more brutes that could produce. David Chimes, I actually got angry when they included Fitz in the Olympic honor ceremony graphics. What did he do? He's such an annoying hanger-on. Well, he was on the staff for Team USA. You can't take it away from him. What did he do exactly? I don't know, but he was on the staff. He was part of the team, and he got his recognition. I don't have a problem with that. I know a lot of people just are so anti-Fitz everything. And I get it. It's been a rough go. It really has. Does anyone have anything else? There's a closing time. It's early in the morning. Shout out to everybody for joining on the most delayed post-game live in the history of post-game lives. Hours and hours after. Well, I can't believe I fell asleep. I mean, I guess I can. I was rocked. It was a long trip. Oh man. No one else? Dun, dun, dun. Wow. Yeah, unfortunate that Sid got hurt. In the tournament. It's going to be another thing they use to be like, NHL guys shouldn't go to the Olympics. Fiala got hurt early in the tournament. And I know they're already confirmed in for the 2030 Olympics. I hope that they play beyond that, but that could potentially be the last we see the NHL in the Olympics for a while, depending on how all of that negotiating and whatever else goes on. It's always going to be part of the CBA talks, I'm sure. Meadowlander, Fitz got to hang out with Guerin and Zito for 3 weeks. I hope something rubbed off. I don't think so. I don't think it has the same effect on executives as it does on players. I think it could do a lot for players. I don't think that same potential is there for executives. I just don't see it. Pyro says, Ace, what do you think of AC Milan? Apparently they're the NJ Devils Italian cousin team. How are they the Devils Italian cousin team? I'm unaware of that, but honestly, I don't know much about them at all. I don't know anything about them. Did the Penguins play last night? Yeah, this schedule is brutal. You come out of the Olympic break and we got 3 games in 4 nights. Sheesh. Yeah, every team's going to be dealing with something like that, but Washington won last night, Tampa Bay. David says, we witnessed Jack grow as a team player this Olympics. Big step. Definitely agree. Hopefully, again, that this serves him well. This is all something I kind of talked about before the Olympics as a potential benefit to the New Jersey Devils as a result of all of this. And it is the maturation and growth of Jack Hughes that you cannot mimic in any other way. There's no way to duplicate the Olympic experience outside of the Olympics. Like, it is an invaluable experience. Hopefully, again, with the golden goal and everything else, he learned a lot from this tournament, grew as a player, as a person, and I think it is going to forever change him. His life is forever changed for sure. I mean, scoring a golden goal is completely insane. If you haven't seen it, I just dropped the link in the chat. I just released early this morning a video on Jack Hughes. Would appreciate you guys liking that. Hit the thumbs up on this one. Hit the like for your boy. And for our painful New Jersey Devil season, we're all in this together. I would appreciate you hitting the like, obviously. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Subscribe. But, yeah, it's been a fun ride. It sucks the way this season has played out. This little Team USA run was phenomenal. I have a lot of videos coming out in the next few days about that, both vlogs and some other things I want to talk about. But keep your eyes peeled. We'll be back tonight for the post-game live. I will not sleep through this one. And I have, like I said, a bunch of vlogs and other things about the Olympics coming out, so keep your eyes peeled. That Jack video came out a little while ago, and there'll be a vlog at least later today, and probably in the next couple days more vlogs coming out. I got super far behind in that, but that's it, guys. Hopefully we see a better Devils outing in Pittsburgh tonight. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go